Hello, fellow administrators. My name is Karen Moschler. I am currently elementary principal at Meadowvale Elementary in ISD 728, which is Elk River, Rogers, Otsego, and Zimmerman. First of all, I'm sorry that I can't be there a little more in person, and I am very gracious to Erin for allowing me to do this a screencast version so that I can be in my home district assisting with an interview process. I am so grateful to have you in attendance today. And as a fellow administrator, I want to share my do's and don'ts for your work as a leader of PBIS in your building. First, a little bit of background about myself. This is my 15th year as an elementary principal. I've spent the last 6 years here in ISD 728. Before that, I spent 9 years as an elementary principal in Sauk Center, Minnesota. And prior to that, I was an elementary classroom teacher, a teacher on special assignment, a Title I teacher, and various other roles in Little Falls Community Schools, and was excited to do all things in all of those districts. I have learned so much from so many different educators. I was fortunate enough to work both with Sauk Center and with Meadowvale Elementary as they went through cohort training in cohort 5 and cohort 10, and then was graciously asked to become a trainer for PBIS, and have worked mostly in the world of sustainability. So I'm excited to be here with you today via this screencast, and again share with you some do's and don'ts as I've seen them leading a building through this process. So first and foremost, I would say make sure that PBIS is a priority. Consider how this fits within your other district or building priorities and initiatives, and ensure that your staff can see that it's a priority as well. In our school, we have 3 biggies. I say everything that we do needs to fit in and under the umbrella of PBIS, PLCs or collaborative teams, and MTSS. If it doesn't or can't fit within one of those, it probably doesn't belong within our building. So do make sure that you make PBIS a priority and that your staff can see that you view it as a priority. Don't implement PBIS only partway. Put in the time and the energy that's necessary, and you will reap the benefits. PBIS builds common language around common expectations and practices in regards to behavior. PBIS will create a positive building culture. You will also see a reduction in office discipline referrals and an increase in student attention and focus. And again, as I said, as well as an increase in that positive building culture. It's worth the time and effort to implement PBIS with fidelity. Find your PBIS champions, support them, and grow them. As you look to create and maintain buy-in, you will find those champions. Rather than worrying about dragging along those laggards, grow and support your champions. That will then spill into the next group and the next group, and pretty soon you're going to have a large group ready to move forward. And in the end, the laggards either come along, they find a different place to go, or they become very quiet in my experience. So again, put your energy and effort into those PBIS champions. It's very important that you as an administrator are present for training. It is not only important, but I should say it's necessary. It is important for your team to see that you value this training and they need your support and your guidance. The teams that we find stuck are those that don't have an administrator present. Don't leave early. Plan to stay for the entire training and use the time you are given. Teams that leave early or don't have an administrator present end up being those teams that don't sustain over time. Do Tier 1 and do it well. Ensure that you implement Tier 1 with fidelity. You need to have at least 80 to 85% of your students responding to Tier 1. If you don't, you won't be able to provide the resources necessary to serve the numbers of students that you have in Tier 2 and Tier 3. So it is essential that you really do Tier 1 well and don't move on to Tiers 2 and Tier 3 until you have 80 to 85% of your students responding to your Tier 1. And I can't say it strongly enough, and so I had to put a second slide in about that. Don't jump to Tier 2 and Tier 3 before you're doing Tier 1 well. People have a tendency to want to fix those kids that are causing the most behavior problems right away. You've got to be patient and help guide and lead them, and not that we don't support those students who need extra support, but really focusing on Tier 1 and focusing on it well will help you as you build your Tier 2 and Tier 3. It can take 1 to 2 years to get that Tier 1 solidly in place and to get it right. Again, take the time to do your Tier 1 well. You will be glad you did. You will not need to put near as many resources into Tier 2 and Tier 3. Use your data to make decisions. Data, data, data. The biggest and most important feature in sustainability is the use of data. You need to ensure that your staff are using both fidelity and outcome data. Your team will be required to complete a data tool in and at training. There will be a staff tool to use yearly as well. These two are very helpful in creating your action plan. You need to also have a great tool to collect your building discipline data or your outcome data. Swiss is the tool that will be free for you to use for the first 2 years. And after that, currently it's a cost of $350. Believe me, I truly believe that is worth every penny of the $350 yearly investment. You need and want to be able to drill down into your behavioral data within 2 to 5 minutes. From that, you can make a precision problem statement from that information and better address your issue. When you can do that, staff see the results and you gain buy-in. Data, data, data. Important, again, both outcome data as well as fidelity data. Whatever you do, don't throw out the great things that you are doing. Remember that PBIS is a framework, it's not a program. You will get to build something that fits your building. There will likely be things that you are doing well that you can keep or are a part of the culture at your school. There will be some things though that need to go. Maybe they don't fit within the framework. Maybe it's extra things that you don't need to be doing. That will be your challenge. Someone will have ties to those items and they are going to struggle to let go. You will have to determine as the administrator and guide your team on what things those are that need to be let go, how you're going to honor those things, and help your staff to move on. Do spend time on classroom management skills for all staff. We are learning more and more about the importance of good classroom management skills for all teachers. If teachers have good classroom management skills, Tier 1 will be so much more successful. More and more tools will continue to be shared during your PBIS training. Find ways to include those ideas or tips into your staff meetings or in professional development sessions, or use them for individual teachers that maybe are struggling with classroom management. Don't go too fast. Implementation takes time, 3 to 5 years of time. Be deliberate in your action planning. After reviewing your data, you will decide what the important action plan steps are for your building. It is important to remember, again, implementation takes time. It is easy to want to hurry up and get it done, especially in that first year, because typically you have a group of people that are gung-ho and firm believers. It is important for that team, which sometimes becomes our admin job, to remember that the rest of your staff have not had that same level of training. The team will need to plan time to bring that training information back to the staff and get them on board before moving forward. It's also important to remember that the PBIS initiative is only one of many other things that teachers have going on. So take your time and do it right. Have an ongoing action plan. You have got to have an action plan. Include what you are going to do, who is going to do it, and when it's going to get done. And then come back to your action plan often to ensure that you're following what it is you said you were going to do. An action plan is not just for your first 2 years as you're going through training. You will always need an action plan. We have kept ours ongoing since year 1 of our implementation. And now, as we start this next year, we'll be on year 7. And it's fun to look back and see all of the things that we've accomplished over the last 6 and moving into 7 years. Have that action plan in place. It will really keep you on track for what you need to do and what you're planning to do. And finally, probably one of the most important things, do not forget to celebrate. You have to celebrate. Celebrate that work that is being done. Celebrate your successes. And no matter how big or small those successes are, when staff feel that the work that they've done is valued, they will be willing to do more. I hope that those do's and don'ts have helped you as you are thinking about what's important as you move forward. I am passionate about my work in PBIS and welcome your questions. Again, apologize that I can't be with you today for you to ask those, but please don't hesitate to reach out to me. My email is listed there, as well as in the beginning of this PowerPoint. I would be happy to help answer any questions as you go along your journey. Best of luck to each of you, and have a wonderful rest of distance learning for the 1920 school year, and have a wonderful summer as well. Thank you.